Welcome to Connections Podcast, where we bring value and connect with inspiring individuals from the world of real estate. In today's episode, we have a special guest, Ulises Cabrera, the mayor of Moreno Valley, California. Ulises has been a good friend of our host for over 10 years, having grown up in the same town and shared countless memories. It's truly inspiring to see how far he has come. Ulises, welcome to the show.
Welcome back to the Connections Podcast. I'm very, very excited about today's guest. He's actually a very good friend of mine. I've known him literally half my life since we were teenagers, and we grew up in the same town. Like I said, we've known each other over 10 plus years, and now he's very, very successful. So it's a trip to even just think about like when we were growing up and we would talk about some of the things that we're doing now, and super proud of this guy. And he's actually the mayor of Moreno Valley right here in California, and he's rerunning for new term?
Second term, yeah.
Second term, and the elections are actually in about a month. So, if you guys are going to vote, the guy after this, it'll be a great conversation. So you guys will have a better understanding of where he comes from and a better thought process of how he thinks and what he sees in the future. But give it up to Ulises Cabrera. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate
anytime. We've been planning this for a little while now, and it was due. It was due, and I'm glad it happened a month before elections.
You planned it out.
Yeah. So I've been, we've been super busy, and we made it happen.
Yep. Yeah, I know we've been going back and forth, and it is long overdue. So I really appreciate you having me on, and been seeing some of the episodes that you put out, and same, just seeing how much you've grown, because I know we'll go into more detail on it, but we have known each other for years now, since we were, a little younger. We're a little older now, we're married and all that good stuff. So we've come a long way, and there's still a lot to go. And so just really excited to be here with you.
Yeah, we're still, we've had a lot of life experience, yet we're still pretty young, depending on who you ask, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because, just adulting, even just the time to get on the show, right? Like before we would be like, hey, bro, what are you doing? And I'd go over to your house and stuff. And it's like, nothing, come over,
Yep. We had all the time.
Yeah. Now it took us months to even schedule this in, right? So it's just interesting how that happens. But it's funny because when I was 18 or in high school, I would look at somebody that's 30 years old and I'd be like, man, they're old.
Yeah.
And I'm 20.
We're the old people.
Yeah, I'm 28 now. Now when I go places, I'm not the young guy no more. I'm kind of just like in a weird spot. I don't feel old at all.
Yeah. Like
at all. I still feel like I'm 18 with more responsibilities. So that's kind of cool.
I mean, you're at the beginning of your prime, you still got a long way to go, but it flies by, I turned 30 in a few months. March of next year, I'll be 30. And I can't believe I'm even saying that,
Man, and you're about to finish a term as a mayor. And I know you were councilman.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you went into office as a councilman?
When I first started running for the office, I was 21 years old.
Wow.
And when I actually won the election and got sworn in, I was 22.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember you were on Univision, huh?
Yeah.
They put you on Univision. You were the youngest councilman ever, no? In the city of Moreno Valley?
Moreno Valley, yeah.
Or even, was it even countywide maybe?
At the time, for sure. I think it was the whole state. I never looked into it or verified it, but 22-year-old council member for a city as big as Moreno Valley is you don't ever really see that.
What's the population in Moreno Valley?
We're now officially just over 215,000 people. So that makes us the 21st largest city. We're back and forth with Fontana, where we're a few hundred residents difference, but it's the 21st largest city in the state of California, the second largest behind Riverside in Riverside County.
That I didn't know. I didn't know it was the second, because Moreno Valley just became a city in 86, 87 with its own city.
About 35 years ago.
For it to grow at the speed it's growing, and it's still growing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because there's still a lot of land to build all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because even I haven't lived in Moreno Valley in 10 years, but even in the 10 years, when I started driving when I was 16 years old and I was in high school, there was no traffic on the 60.
Yeah.
There was no, I would go down to Riverside. There was no traffic. Now it's a parking lot.
Yeah.
So that just shows the infrastructure and how much it really has grown. It's where people can afford.
Yeah. I mean, you could barely get in and out of Moreno Valley. I mean, just to get here, right? To Riverside, to your office. I always keep underestimating how much traffic I'm going to get because, even just driving from one side of Moval to the other side is like a 20-minute drive. It's crazy. And it's grown a lot. I still, when I was growing up, I'm originally from LA. I grew up in Compton. and my cousin Jose, who he's a contractor. Shout out to Jose.
Shout out to Jose. Does kitchen cabinets.
Cabinet
we'll have
maker.
him comment.
Yep. You guys need any cabinets? Hit up Jose. And he lived in Moreno Valley since he was a kid, so we would always visit him.
Yeah.
And I remember just coming back and forth, and now living here, I've seen also the city change, and I meet people every now and then that tell me they lived in Moreno Valley their entire lives. We're talking people that are like 85. Like,
wow,
really old.
Before it was Moreno Valley.
Yeah, but they were born in Moreno Valley. They were there since, you had orange groves and they were growing potatoes and all that kind of stuff. And when the racetrack was here, now it's the Moreno Valley Mall. And so they tell me all the stories. I met the son of the first mayor of Moreno Valley when I was knocking on doors the last election. So it's crazy. Just there's a ton of history, and we still have a lot of growth to go.
So much growth. And then you even have 2 hospitals in Moreno Valley.
Yep.
And it's funny because my parents live in Moreno Valley. That's where I grew up. I lived in Riverside when I was younger. 4th grade, I moved to Moreno Valley. And even now, like where my parents lived before, the thing about Moreno Valley though is that there's no nightlife yet. It's like a suburb, and I was doing research on it, and 80%, I think it's like 70-80% of everybody that lives in Moreno Valley commutes outside of Moreno Valley to go to work. So it's a commuter town.
Yep.
So, and it makes sense, right? It's a lot more affordable than even Riverside. Riverside's expensive now. I mean, if you want to move to Riverside to get something decently nice, $650 plus, $600, $650 plus. And if you're on the lower end of the 600 side, you're gonna compete with a lot of people.
Yeah, you got to make good money like Neil to live in Riverside.
Nah, I'm trying to catch up to this guy. Yeah. No, we just bought our house 7 months ago, so that was
congrats. Cool. Congrats, by the way. I see every now and then you'll post your view that you have from your house, and congrats on that, man, because you've been doing a lot, and I try to follow you, and it's really inspiring, all the stuff that you're doing too.
Yeah, it's interesting because I still haven't got used to that, and it doesn't even feel like my house yet. It still hasn't hit me. Like, it feels like an Airbnb because it still feels so new, right?
Yeah.
Because we redid the whole house. We bought all new furniture, and it's a super shout out to my wife. She's the one that designed the whole interior with the colors and all that. And it just feels so surreal. The coolest part about it, I would say, is that I've been doing real estate for 10 years. And I didn't own any houses, right? I would buy them and I would flip them. I did 4 or 5 flips already. I've sold over 240 homes, but I never had a house. I always lived in apartments, or I lived with a buddy of mine, rented a room and stuff when I was younger and single, because I'm still pretty young. But now it's cool getting off of work and showing up to my house, and it's like, man, this is my house. Like, this is my territory, is my safe place. Like, nobody can tell me nothing. I can make a hole in the wall and no one will ever tell me nothing if I wanted to. I can paint it pink if I want, like it's that's, and I can see the 10 years of hard work. Yeah. That's the coolest part. I can feel it.
Yep.
That's been the biggest shift as far as like owning the house,
Yeah.
And it's a dope house. It has a dope view from the living room. You get beautiful sunsets there.
Yep.
It was awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the greatest things that could ever happen, right? And I remember I was very fortunate, but at a young age, I knew from a very young age, I'm like, look, I got to buy my house, right? My parents were good at that. When we were kids, they bought their house in Compton and it appreciated like crazy. Fortunately, they sold December of 2006. So right before the recession hit. Yeah, at the peak, they sold, we got out. They cashed out, and that worked out. And so I was able to buy my first house with my dad too. It was he and I that co-signed.
Yeah.
We worked really hard, saved up our money for our down payment. Rates were still pretty good at the time. Prices were still pretty good. At that time, we got like a $5,000 cut off of the asking price, and we got a pretty good deal. So, there's nothing like being able to, like you said, like everything that you said, on top of being able to build equity in your property, right? That over time, it's an appreciating asset, right? Unless, rare occasions you get a great recession, which hardly ever happens.
Even then, you can, usually with recessions that most people don't know about, at least in the 2008, 2009 market, it's very hard to lose your house, especially in a recession, unless you straight up don't do the payments.
Yeah.
But once you're owning a home, you figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And banks tend to do a lot of loan modifications. Like, that was a huge business in like 2009 to 2012. A lot of people got a lot of the negative removed
Yeah.
Or they got second, it just the loan modifications. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think a recession and they think, oh, I'm going to lose my house. But it's very hard to actually lose your house. Like the banks will actually work with you to not lose it. Unless you stop paying, then, there's nothing we can do,
Yeah. So, I mean, that's great, and that's kind of my plan is, I'm very, very fortunate and blessed now to have 2 properties, and I just want to keep that going. I kind of took a different approach, right? Like you were in the real estate business, right? Like selling, right? Representing buyers and sellers and stuff like that. And now you have your own house, which is huge, right? So I'm sure like now that you got a taste of it, you want more, right? Just to keep building your portfolio. And that's definitely my plan. At least that's kind of how I think about it in terms of future retirement. I want to have as many doors under my belt as I can, have that portfolio of rental properties, and hopefully, help out my parents so they can retire and we can have a nice life.
For sure. I mean, how sick would it be? Like, how there's a lot of like permanent life insurance policies. There's there's these policies where you can put money in there when your child is born, and then in 18 years they have a college fund. How sick would it be to just literally buy a house so instead of putting $20,000 into a fund or whatever, right? Whatever you can at the time, saving enough, your child is born, you buy a house at that time, and then when they go to college, you sell that house because you have 20 years worth of equity. It's probably going to triple in price in 20 years.
Yeah.
And now you have all the money for their college fund and some.
Yeah.
And then you use some of that money and you go buy a house where they're going to school. Yeah. You tell them, hey, I'm going to buy this house. You rent it out to your friends. You manage it. Mm-hmm. And when you graduate, the equity is yours as long as you're managing it. Like, how sick would it be to set up, you have kids.
Yeah.
I don't have kids yet. I have a dog and that's enough, but I'll join you soon.
Buy your dog a house.
I'll join you soon, but I mean, kids for sure in the next 2 years.
Yeah, I've heard of not a lot of people, but some people do exactly what you just described, is instead of putting the money into like a savings account or something, or even maybe, I don't know, this is not just a Latino thing, but we're both Mexican, right? Our parents are Mexican.
Straight from Sinaloa.
My dad from Guadalajara, mom is from Veracruz. And, you have like a piggy bank or something, like put cash in there and it just kind of sits there. But now I think, just with our education and the way we've been brought up, we know that there's better ways of, investing your money to get your return. And so I've seen more and more people doing what you said, where instead of putting their money into like a savings account or a college account or something, they'll buy a property, and that is literally the college fund for their children in the future. So you're seeing more of that, especially just historically. The data shows that minorities like Latinos and even like African American home ownership has always been kind of like a struggle, and so just to build that generational wealth, to be able to have something to fall back on later on in life, just continue to push people toward home ownership, is super powerful.
It's beautiful, dude. I mean, I've been doing it, like I said, for a long time. For the first 5 years, I wasn't into investing or anything. I was a full-blown realtor. I'm still a realtor. I still list homes. I still help buyers and stuff. But my main thing is more investments. And it's a beautiful thing. It's awesome because I keep in touch with all my past clients.
Yep. And
it's cool because some of the past clients that I sold back in 2018, 2019, I'll call them and they're like, what's up, Neil, with the deal? I'm up right now. I'm up, I got equity, I still got my house. And it's like, man, it's so sick, because at the time you feel like you're signing your life away. You don't know what's going to happen. You're like, man, what if the market crashes, or what if this happens? What if this happens? But it's like, okay, well, what if that doesn't happen? And you build the equity, right? And worst case scenario, you have $200,000-$400,000 in equity in 5 to 7 years, and you're like, you know what? I really can't afford the house no more. Mm-hmm. You sell the house, and now you're liquid.
Yep.
$300,000-$400,000, and it's tax free if you're married up to $500,000 if it's your primary residence. For those of you at home that don't know that, and if you're single, it's $250,000. So, it's like putting money into a savings account. But
exactly.
But so for your second term right now, say I hands down believe you're gonna win. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt in my mind. You own the city, right? Like everybody loves you. So, like, okay, say after your term, what's next after that second term? Like, what do you have planned? Like you said, you're gonna turn 30 very soon. Like, what's next?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I appreciate, the support, because it takes a lot of work, to get here to begin with.
My mom puts your signs up in the front yard.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And there's a new housing tract that's finishing up right there across the street.
Yeah.
With a new park. It's Windsong Park.
That's a nice park.
Yeah, it's a cool little, it has like exercise, those workout stations and stuff like that. So we're seeing a lot, even right now with, the way the economy has been with rates and stuff the past year and a half or so. We're still seeing a lot of homes going up, being built in Moreno Valley. But to your question about, my second term or in the future, I don't know, because so many things could change. There's so many different variables and factors that could change. And right now, really, my focus is just, the city of Moreno Valley, trying to improve the city, make the community better, make it safer, bring more business, right? Bring more variety of businesses to the city. Like you said, having a nightlife, because we are a younger city, right? Yeah. Our median age is about 35 years old. Yeah. So we're a young city. Yeah. Professionals like you and I that have maybe one or two kids are the average person or family in the city. So what do they want to see, right? Like more entertainment, more recreational activities, museums, restaurants, right? Nice things like that to do. So little by little, we've been seeing that with, Dunkin', Dutch Bros, 85 Degree Bakery, Texas Roadhouse, Alush just opened as well. And so we're starting. Calaveras came in last year, right?
I like Calaveras. It's a cool spot.
Yeah, it's just different, right? Yeah. Things that we've never had in Moreno Valley. You always had to drive to Riverside to do anything like that. Now we're starting to see it. We have like 7 hotels that are already approved and entitled. Developers are just waiting for like finances to get better and for the rates to come down, which they finally are, so that they can start going vertical. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening. But yeah, right now I'm just focused on Moreno Valley. There's still a lot of things that I'm trying to do in the city, and I'm focused on that. So we'll see. We have 2-year terms, and we'll see what happens when I'm up again in 2026. Maybe I run for some higher office. You never know. We'll see what doors open.
2-year term, and you can only do 2 terms.
No, so no term limits, but it's 2-year terms. For city council members, there are term limits. For them, it's 4-year terms, and you can only run or be in office for 3 terms consecutively.
Got it.
So if you won, it would be 12 straight years of being in office before you have to take a break. And then you could run again
after another term.
Break. Yeah.
Got
But
it.
For the mayor, it's every 2 years you got to be running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very high pressure. A lot of work, huh?
A lot. And honestly, I think Moreno Valley deserves to have a 4-year mayor like most other cities. It's actually uncommon unless it's a city that has a rotational mayor, which we used to be, where the council would choose its mayor. But it's not that common anymore where you see a mayor only has 2-year terms. And the reason why I say that Moreno Valley deserves a 4-year mayor is because that gives you more consistent leadership, and it actually gives whoever the mayor is, if it's me or some other, whoever's the mayor after me, it gives them more opportunity to actually focus on working and getting things done, as opposed to the way it's set up right now, which is the same for California assembly members and the same for Congress members at the federal level. Those are 2-year terms. So you're like the first year solid, you're working, right? You can get your things done once you get in office that first year. But then that second year, you kind of have to transition, and it's like all out campaigning, right? Because you have to get back into office. Because it takes a year. So it's like the people deserve to have a mayor that can actually work instead of constantly just running for re-election.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have never thought about it like that, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I've seen, firsthand how much work an election is, and the community events, and yeah, man, that's a trip every 2 years. Huh? So you're really only mayor for a year, and then you're re-electing the second year,
trying to get the job again.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So you said that you're very focused on what you're doing right now. You don't know what you're going to do after. I mean, where do you see yourself in 10 years, 15 years? I know you said you don't know, but there has to be some. And the reason I ask is I want to see kind of where you're headed, right? Where you see yourself going.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a good question, because 10 years, I think I can speak better about where I will be, because regardless, politics or not, I also am a business owner. Of course. Like I do general contracting. We do small projects. It's me and my dad, right? We incorporated the company back in 2017, but he's been doing that for his entire life. Right? Yeah. So we do like right now we're building an ADU in Moreno Valley for a client. We've done room additions, we've done remodels and all that. And so in the future, I still want to do something that has to do with real estate and development, right? Whether that means me maybe actually being a realtor or an agent, or going into large scale developments, right? When like mixed use projects and
Start
stuff.
flipping houses.
Yeah, flipping houses or building communities, right? Building mixed use projects. There's a lot of opportunity because, I mean, in California, for those that, you know, follow real estate very closely, you know that in California, we're short at least 1 million units, if not, you know, upward to 2 million units. We're short across the entire state. And so who's going to build that? You know, there's a huge demand. Somebody has to supply it, you know? And so that's kind of the way I see it, is regardless of whether I'm in politics or not in 10 years, I still want to continue down that path of being involved in development and housing construction. I still want to be involved in that because the opportunity is there, right? And also all the experience that I've been able to get, like being in office has taught me so much of like the entitlement process, right? You see things from idea and concept all the way to cutting the ribbon, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And these
I mean, that alone is worth a lot, you know?
a ton. I mean, it's like going to school, you know?
Yeah.
But in my case, you're learning through the actual experience, like being in the trenches and voting on these projects, right? So I've learned a ton, and I definitely want to, you know, continue down that path of development, construction, and building more housing in California.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there might be a future potentiality of working together. You know, like right now, I'm flipping houses. Like I said, I'm doing anything related to like a real estate transaction, right? So like our business model right now is I'm still licensed, but we give the seller options, right? Like most realtors, they'll go in there with tunnel vision and they'll try to get the listing, right? With us, hey, we can bring in one of our investors that can, you know, offer you some money. You know, if you give us the opportunity, maybe we can buy the property off of you if you don't like the number. If you don't like those options, then, you know, sometimes they don't even have to sell. They think they have to sell to buy another one. But in reality, you can just cash out refi and then purchase the other one. And now you own 2 properties. Yep. So now you're tapping into like the building wealth, long-term wealth, right?
Yeah.
And, or we can just list the property. So it's more of like a consultation kind of that we do. We don't really do like listing appointments or any of that. It's more of like, okay, you're interested in selling, you know, let's go see the house. And then from there, we'll discuss the options that you actually have as a seller, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what a seller picks or a homeowner, as long as they pick it with us, right? So that's kind of like been the business model, and really going in that way. And it's been working very well. Yeah. You know, and behind the camera, we were also talking about like going deep, right? Like that's our main focus right now, is really, really building the market share in our community, right? Like if there's 100 transactions a month in our market, how many of those can our team do?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. So then it's like, that's really when you start tapping into like living the good life, I call it, right? Referral based. You know, people think of real estate, they think of, you know, Offer Central, our team, Neil with the deal. So that's kind of the goal, right? But yeah, I would love to tap into building communities and stuff, like track homes in the future. You know, my dad's in construction. He's the one that manages all my projects. I even make a joke on it when I'm on the phone with homeowners. I'll tell them, hey, my dad's the contractor. He's really the one that gives me all the numbers. I'm just the guy that gets yelled at on the phone all day. Yeah. You know, I'm the sales guy. You know, I'm the sales guy. I'm the one that does the loan, that gets the loans and all that. So it's pretty interesting.
You're Neil with the deal.
Neil with the deal. Dude, it's crazy. It just that name just stuck. Someone just said it on accident one day, and it just been following me for years.
It's all that branding.
So now I just embrace it, you know?
It's like, what's his name? Kevin Paffrath, Meet Kevin. Putting Meet Kevin everywhere. He's a
YouTube too, I know who. Yeah, he was running for governor. He ran for governor with blue hair.
Yeah. He was trying to put his official name on the ballot as Meet Kevin. Like he was trying to, and he was going to court. It was a whole thing, but
he was going hard on that.
Yeah. He went trying really.
Yeah,
hard.
he was trying really hard to get. He's a big real estate guy too.
Yeah.
Did a lot of flips. That's how he came up.
Yeah, he calls them wedges, like off market deals. Where, you know, you buy something for a super low price that's worth a lot. That's kind of like what you do. I don't know, like Graham Stephan also talks about it. Ryan Pineda also talks about it. Like there's all these other guys, but now they're rich and doing a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. They start tapping into
private jets and stuff.
Diversifying, diversifying.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. A lot of people assume it's, a lot of the times you're just breaking the ice with the homeowners. A lot of times they see you and they think you're this savvy investor that's going to like rip them off. Right. But it's not even really like that. Like a lot of the times what people don't understand is that technically we're not buying discounted properties. We're paying as is value.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So whatever it's worth in as is condition. So when we comp them, we look for other homes that are listed in a very similar condition.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way we run our numbers, for those of you homeowners or anybody at home, is we'll take those comps and then we'll subtract 8%. And the reason we subtract that 8% is because you get 2% in closing costs and 6% in realtor fees if you do list on the market.
Yeah.
So it just makes it convenient, for a lot of the homeowners. Like we have one right now in Riverside. It's an older couple. They moved to Florida. They're actually in Florida right now. They'll be back on the 15th.
Okay.
And they bought a house over there, and we don't want to list it. We don't want people walking in and out of the house. We just want an as is, where is offer. We don't want to do any repairs, no contingencies. And I'm like, perfect. These are your options. And they ended up taking an offer from one of our investors, and, they're happy and the investor's happy and we're happy, right? Everyone gets paid. And, but it's just literally the as is condition minus the repairs or minus the 8%, and minus the repairs to get it to that condition, right? Because a lot of people say, oh, well, my neighbor sold $50,000 more than what you're telling. Yeah, but you got to take into consideration, you got to subtract 8% of that. That's really what they made because of all the realtors for listing it on the market, plus all the repairs they did. Like, they have a brand new kitchen and restrooms. Like all that makes a huge difference. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's really understanding and educating homeowners that just like they want the most for it, like it just has to make sense on both ends, and really, really making them helping them understand that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a big part of it, I think, is in business. And sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit.
You got some water right there.
Thank you. I'll take a sip right now, but
go for it.
It's like a lot of it is the education, because even being a contractor, a lot of it is helping your clients understand what they're spending their money on, like to make sure that they're getting their money's worth. And it's not just purely transactional, right? It's not just about getting the deal, making your money, and then you bounce.
Some people are like that.
Some people are like that. And,
those are the ones that ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They make clients distrust you, or I can't tell you how many times, I'm sure your dad has heard many of these stories too. We're licensed and everything. Your dad's licensed and everything, but there's a lot of guys out there that are not, they don't have any license. They don't have any liability insurance, like nothing. And clients oftentimes want, the lowest bidder, who's the cheapest, they want to save money, but unfortunately, a lot of times they end up paying more in the long run, because you get these guys that they hire, they pay them cash or something, or they don't have a license. They have no way to track them, right? They can't even take them to small claims or anything. So they'll show up to the job site, do a little bit of work, and then they disappear. They walk away with the money or something, or they do the work incorrectly, right? So like there's a lot of issues that happen like that. And so my dad's the one that told me, he's like, it's always worth, you get what you pay for, it's worth paying a little bit more for quality. And at the end of the day, I learned this a few years ago, actually, from a fundraiser. He said that the most important thing is not just about building relationships, but really when you're working on building these relationships, it's about being genuine and authentic about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just quid pro quo. Like, all right, look, I'm here to help you sell your house, and I'm going to help you, and so you can make your money, right, and get your cash out of the house and go buy the next thing or whatever you plan on doing. That is great, right? That transaction is great, but what other steps are we taking to make sure that that's like a lifelong friendship or something?
Mm-hmm.
Like those are those invaluable, intangible things that early on we probably don't think about. But as life goes on, we get older, we experience different things. It's like, you want to have those real, legitimate, authentic relationships with people that you can count on, and they know that they can count on you too,
Yeah. Having those relationships is key, because, even the guy I learned from, he's been in the industry 25 years, and it's a trip, because the people that he was selling to, now the kids are buying from him.
Yeah.
So that, that adds to your point. You're building a solid business that way. It's like you're bulletproof. It doesn't matter how the economy's doing or the market's doing, right? And then you add that into that, right? You add a little bit of the cold market too, like the marketing and all that, and it's you have a full blown business. Yeah. But it's a trip to have the kids buy a house. Like man, maybe hopefully I'm there. Yeah. We'll see. After 40, I want to buy 2 rentals, two buy and holds. I bought one this year, so I'm a little behind, but I want to buy 2 homes a year until I'm 40. So I'll have anywhere from 24 to 30 homes, because hopefully I can buy maybe 3 in a year. And then we'll see what happens after 40, but I'll have 24 properties minimum, So yeah, anywhere from 20 to 30, I'll be good, and then I don't have any 401ks, I have a Roth IRA because of the tax write-off, but I don't have life insurance policies. I don't have any type of retirement account. I'm not a big believer in those. I just like real estate. I'm a real estate guy.
No, I agree with you on that, because I never got into like the whole Roth IRAs. And I know for some people it works, some people that have a different like lifestyle or a different plan for their future. Right. But in my case, I'm very similar, where my plan is really like my real estate portfolio that I want to be the biggest part of my retirement. But then also I would be lying if I didn't mention that I do have a pension because of my position with the city. Most elected officials and even just government employees, right? You're talking school districts or city, county, state government.
Even unions.
Unions. Most of those positions come with retirement, pension, health insurance and all that. So in my case, it's called CalPERS, is like the statewide pension program. And on behalf of our employer, that gets paid into. So I would be lying if I didn't mention that I do have that as well. But I also, I don't want to rely on that, right? And I'll probably also get some Social Security as well at some point when I retire. But I don't want to just rely solely on that, right? I want to make sure that I save a little extra somewhere else so that I don't have to wait until I'm 60 or 65 to retire. I want to retire at 40,
that'd be sick. That'd be good.
Yeah.
And when you say retirement, what do you mean by retirement, right? Because, somebody at a very high caliber like yourself, very ambitious. I mean, at 40, you're fairly young, right? So when you say retire, what exactly do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at someone like LeBron, 40 is the new 30, right? Talking about having children buy from, their or having children come, to buy as well. LeBron having his son, right? Playing on the team. I mean, it's just crazy to think about that. That's never happened before. And literally this season, I'm a big basketball guy. Literally this season, he's finally playing with his son. And it's just crazy to think.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's crazy. And LeBron is 40 years old out here still dunking on people's heads. It's crazy. He just won the Olympic gold medal. So anyway,
his son has a huge shoes to fill.
Oh, without a doubt. I don't think, shout out to Bronny, but he's never going to be LeBron. He just doesn't have that in him. Now his other son, maybe, because he has the height and everything, but we'll see. Has a couple more years to go. But where I'm going with this, and the reason why I bring it up is because, it's just things have changed. And I think 40 is the new 30. And when we think about our prime, it's not what it used to be, right? It's we're able to do a lot more, older into our lives. And so, to your question about when I say retire at 40 or whatever, it's not retire, just kind of sit on the beach, stay at home and just kind of enjoy life. It's, I think, having the freedom of time and that flexibility to just be where you want to be whenever you want to be, especially now that, I'm married, you're married, and you one day will have kids probably. Especially the day that you have children, it hits you even harder. The importance of time and being able to control your time. And that's kind of, who is it that talks about it? That's Nguyen, the rat race, trying to get out of the rat race.
It's funny you bring him up. He was one of my one of my first real estate coaches. That's why I learned the real estate business.
He's everywhere. He's all over the place.
Yeah, I paid him a lot of money. So shout out Thatch. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here without you.
Yeah. And so it's, I think that's what I mean with that. It's make enough money, and build up enough wealth to get to the point where I don't have to work anymore, right? I can, if I want to, I can invest passively or go, venture into other things. If I want to take a vacation with my family, if I want to take my son to Legoland or, practice for sports or something, I can be there instead of being on the other side in the rat race where you're working 9 to 5, like your job or your business is everything. And that comes at the cost and the expense of your family and your loved ones. Like, I'm telling you, now that I'm a father and I'm a son, I would give everything for my family. Like I want to have more time on my hands to be present, when my son comes home from school, so I could be there. I could take him to the park, as opposed to I'm out working until like 7, 8 p.m. And then I get home, I'm tired and it's already time for bed. And like, it's just like, dang, you want to be there to spend time with your family. So
yeah, it's a trip you mentioned that, the 7, 8 p.m. because that, to me, I don't have any kids. My wife's in her master's program, so we're super busy right now, and my business is really, really picking up right now, and I'll work, dude. I was working till 10 p.m. yesterday, because I didn't have anything else to do. Like, what am I gonna do? Just go home and chill? Like, I wasn't tired, I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna just get some stuff done, and I was working till 10, and the 7 o'clock is norm right now, and I don't want to do it forever, right? I'm still 28. When I have kids, I want to take some time off and be there for the first 3 months of my child's life. And I don't want, me and my wife talk about it all the time. I don't want somebody else raising our kids. Like I would like my wife to even potentially take some time off of work and be in the position to be able to do that. So that way we can focus on the kids. And I can just continue doing what I'm doing, and still have the freedom, because like you, I want to coach my kids' soccer team or whatever sports the little leagues they play on, and I want to do all that. And it's funny because at 40, when I have the properties, who knows, I know people that acquire 1,500 properties in 10 years, and I'm like, how, the
Brandon Turners of the world.
How? So if you guys know, reach out to me, because I'm very interested. But yeah, at 40, like when I think of retirement, I think of the same thing, like coaching my kids' little leagues and not being as active in the sales side, but more on like you said, the passive, right? Where it's like, hey, I'm doing maybe 5-6 flips a year. I have the whole system in order, 10 flips a year, 1 a month, whatever. Have the system in order. I'm kind of just going and checking projects. Takes me 3, 4, 5 hours a day, and then I come home by 1. I'm out early and stuff like that, and doing more of something like that while my kids are little, and then going full force again when when they're a little older. And
exactly,
and because I want to travel too,
exactly.
I want to travel while I'm still young. I don't, people say I want to be rich one day, right? But it's not just about being rich or wealthy. I want to be young, and rich and wealthy. I want to be young so I can enjoy it with the full force energy. And how sick would it be, say your kid, right, your son, right? When do we learn about Anne Frank? 7th grade, 8th grade? How sick would it be where like, hey son, we're gonna, what? Instead of like, once you learn about it, this summer we're actually gonna go out to the concentration camps. And we're gonna go travel Europe for a month, 2 months, and you can go see the concentration camps and really learn the history firsthand. At the places, like something like that, right? And then your wife is like, all right, let's do it, and you have the flexibility to do all that, and you take those trips, and that's what I see myself, like doing stuff like that. That's why I only want 2 kids, right? It's harder to do it with 4.
Exactly. I think our parents might have similar backgrounds or stories of where they come from, but in Mexico, where both of my parents came from, they didn't have a lot. My mom literally used to sleep on like cardboard. She would tell me stories about where she would go selling like fruits and vegetables with like a basket on her head around like her little village. And so they come from nothing. And so like what you were talking about, being able to take your child one day to travel and actually be able to see these places for themselves. That's something I want to do too, like
I want to take my parents too. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, they've given so much for us. You want to be able to do something for them as well. And, even myself, I think you mentioned it, you want to travel too. So do I. Like, I've never been outside of the United States or Mexico, so I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Africa. I want to go to Asia, I want to visit all these places. And, one day I know I'll be able to do that. And if I could take my kids with me, even better.
Yeah, for sure. And it's I mean, at the end of the day, we're doing it for, it's funny. We'll wrap it up with this thought is, once my business really started changing, and I think it was like a pivotal moment for me where I went from just growing into a man, I guess, right? Into like a more responsible adult, right? Is when I shifted my focus from myself to the people around me. Like, I don't need, everything I'm doing isn't even for myself. It's for my wife, it's for my parents, and it's for my future kids. Because they're the ones that are really going to reap the rewards.
Yeah.
Obviously me too, but then it's like a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain, right? And then just having that mindset, dude, it completely pivoted my entire business. And when I'm tired and I don't want to make that call, I just think, well, it's not for me.
Yep.
And I'll make the call.
Absolutely. And speaking from experience, having children, once that happens,
whole different ball game,
because everything you do is for them. Like you come second. It's all about, if your son wants to go to the park, how do you make that happen? Like right now it's Halloween. How do you get them the costume that they want? Like to make them happy. And this is something that I think it doesn't compare to anything else, as the love you have for a child, for your child. It's something else to like have a small niece or nephew or a goddaughter. That's beautiful too, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing like having your own child and that love that you have from your child. I remember the first time that my son, once he got like 2 years old, he started to get more affectionate and close to me. The first time that he ever like laid his head down and just like fell asleep on my shoulder, I was like, oh man, that feeling, like there's nothing like it. It's like that Lion King, Simba moment. It's your
legacy.
Yeah,
it's your legacy.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, me and my wife talk about it because, like I said, I don't have kids and I can imagine that feeling, but I won't really experience it until I have kids, right? But even with my dog, dude, it's a little dog. He's like 14 pounds and we just grew so attached to that dog. Even when my mom babysits him and he's not at the house, like the house is so quiet and, we'll start watching TV, me and her, and he'll sit right in the middle and lay with us. And so I'm like, man, is this what it feels like to love a child? But then it's like, man, it's probably even like, I'm sure it's way more, when it's your child, because a dog's a dog. But
a dog will love you no matter what. That unconditional love, which is it's also something special,
for sure.
Dogs just will love you no matter what. Children, as they get older, they'll start talking back to you and andan de traviesos. Like, you got to change the diapers. Like it's definitely a lot of responsibility, but man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful too.
Yeah. So before we close out, just one last thing that we can close out on is, what would you tell somebody that's young, right? Maybe, 18 to maybe 22 years old that wants to get started in business or just getting started in life, maybe a little lost, maybe not a little lost. Maybe they know exactly what they want. Like, if you can go back to when you were 20 and talk to your 20-year-old self, what would you tell them?
That's a great question. I mean, and it's a tough one, because I think for sure all of us have different paths and different journeys. Right? We come from different places. Our family, our home dynamics are different. So it's unique for everybody. But I briefly mentioned it earlier, how I'll say this: we all grow up hearing that saying of "it's who you know," But I say it's not who you know; it's who knows you, and you have to put yourself out there. Yes, I'm the mayor now. I'm 29. I've been in office for 7.5 years already. And so as a Latino, right, son of Mexican immigrants from Compton, like it's almost like I shouldn't be here. Historically, these offices weren't the game wasn't made for us, like we've had to work a lot harder to get to these places. And so that comes with a lot of responsibility. And I guess, when I was younger, 18 or so, I was also in that place where I was stuck choosing between, like, do I go to the military because I almost enlisted in the army, or do I go to college? And my mom begged me, like, please don't go to the military, go to school, go get your education. And so I did that, eventually took a break, and I went to Austin. That's a whole nother story there. But, you know, you don't always have it all figured out. Some of us have it figured out from the time we're freshmen in high school. But a lot of us don't, you know, and you could be going to one thing to school. Like I was going for computer engineering, and then, you know, I ended up going for political science. So I think at the end of the day, definitely like stay out of trouble. Absolutely. That thing is without saying, right? Because it just like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories of people, young, like teenagers, young kids being in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people. And that's like the difference between them being alive or not, you know? And so it's like, make sure you're surrounding yourself with good people who you can trust, who actually genuinely care about you and are not just like trying to, you know, take advantage of you or use you, right? Surround yourself with people that you want to learn from as well, like people that are smarter than you. Don't be a yes person. That's very dangerous and toxic. To just surround yourself with people who are gonna like say yes to you or praise you and say that you're the most amazing person ever. Surround yourself with people who are gonna challenge you a little bit, you know, like, hey, you know, like, are you all right? Do you need help with something? Or, you know, maybe you could have done that a little differently, or like, hey, you know, like I need to talk to you about that. You know, like surround yourself with people who actually care. You know,
call you out on your BS.
Yeah, and they'll help you grow and become a better person in the long run. That's the most powerful thing. And I think ultimately, I'll kind of close with this to this long answer. It's just really like, just think about what you want for your life. You know, like some people want to be a Warren Buffett or you know, Elon Musk. Some people want to be a Bill Gates or, you know, like a Mark Cuban, right? Some people just want to have a regular life, you know, with the family, one house, and, you know, just live a nice life comfortably. You really have to decide, like, what kind of lifestyle do you want? You know, what kind of life do you want to live? And then you work toward that. I use the metaphor of this, right? Because I also have faith is a big part of who I am and what I do. It's like we're the captain of our own ship out on the ocean, right? And a captain needs coordinates. You need to know your destination. If you don't have that, you're just floating out in the middle of the ocean, no direction. You don't know where you're going. You don't know where you are. But once you have that direction and you know where you want to be, you know what that North Star is for you, that's when the wind comes and like pushes you, you know, toward that destination. So you need to think about, you know, what do I want in life? And then things will kind of like fall into place on their own. So
that was awesome. That was awesome. That was a great answer and definitely puts a lot to think about, you know? I think for somebody that's, you know, 18, 19, 20 years old too, is if you're out there, sometimes you don't know what you're going to do at that age. You know, I was 23, 22 in real estate. I didn't even know if I still wanted to be in real estate, right? So if you're in that position, it's okay. The biggest thing that I would personally say is focus on your communication skills. Whatever that is, if it's a job that helps you do that, if it's a sales job, if it's reading books, if it's going to a seminar, surrounding yourself with people, focus on your communication skills at a young age. And trust me, you will be way better off by the time you're 30 even, right? Because I can say that now. I'm almost 30. That's almost a trip. That's a trip. But thank you for being on today. It means a lot. Like I said, you know, we've been friends for a very long time, and you know, you're one of those people that I can call and count on and trust. And we've always had a great relationship, and it's a very similar background. So it's awesome, you know, seeing your growth and for your support for even being on here today. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. And one last thing, just want to say thank you to Neil and everybody that's out here supporting him and watching him, and all of his partners. You know, definitely this is a good guy right here. And it's funny that you said, or you asked me the question, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Because 10 years ago, we asked each other that same question, and now we're like doing a lot of
It's a 10-year thing, bro. It was due.
So thanks again for having me on.
Yeah, anytime. Where can they find you? Maybe Instagram?
Yeah. So Instagram, I am Ulises Cabrera. Facebook, just look up Ulises Cabrera. I'm on there as well. My website for the campaign, ulisesformayor.com. If you want to find me on there, learn more about what I'm doing. And if anybody's interested in partnering, you have any ideas, if you're looking to, invest in Moreno Valley, open up a new business, whatever that may be, definitely reach out to me, shoot me an email, call my office, and always happy to talk to you guys.
Yeah, if you guys are out there and have my information, reach out to me and I'll put you in contact with him. So cool. Thank you guys for joining us. This was a very, very special episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hit the follow us button, subscribe, like the video, comment, and we'll see you on the next one.
I told her mom that I will soon. Knew as a child back in the womb.